All right, before you click off this video, I know you're like, oh, I'm going to get out of here because this isn't the typical movie night. I am currently working on a full-length movie night episode of the movie Let There Be Light. That being said, after I originally saw the movie, my friend Josh and I, who have a podcast called The Inner Tube, came home and recorded an Inner Tube episode of our initial reaction to the movie, and it's one of my favorite episodes of The Inner Tube, and I just wanted to share it with everybody today. The full movie night review should be out sometime next week. I'll talk to you later. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to The Inner Tube, the podcast for content creators. For now, my name is Josh.
I think you should my name's Kevin, by the way, but I think you should say the podcast for Christian movie lovers. Lately, that's all we're talking about.
Christian movies.
We talked about God's Not Dead 3 the last 2 episodes in a row.
It's a huge part of your life now, Kevin.
It is all. Remember that time I turned everything into movie facts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what we're.
That's what's.
Christian
now I'm
movie
turning
facts.
it all into Christian content. I have a tendency to turn the Inner Tube into whatever it is I'm working on at that time.
Well, if you somehow have missed the last few episodes, you don't know what's going on. Kevin is kind of working with a company called Christian Cinema. He's working with them to put together some weekly content, video content, and is putting a news show together for them. And so he's kind of in the thick of all of this Christian content, Christian films. Coming out. You went on the set of God's Not Dead 3, which we covered in the last couple episodes of the show. And this week, boy, just a couple hours ago, Kevin, we were sitting in a theater,
wanting to kill ourselves.
Watching Let There Be Light.
So we could see the glory that is portrayed in this film.
I didn't know anything about this movie going into it.
And I knew what was in the trailer.
I hadn't even seen the trailer. Or I guess I had once because the scene that Sean Hannity was in, I had seen before. So I guess I did see the trailer.
Yeah.
Seen the scene.
But you didn't watch my review of the trailer.
Maybe I did because I wouldn't have watched it on its own. I would have only watched it in the context of one of your videos.
The new Kevin Sorbo movie.
Unless I just saw a headline that said Kevin Sorbo, Sean Hannity movie, and I was like, "What in the world?"
I feel like when they first announced this movie, you know what it was?
I'm ready. Tell me, please.
Whenever I was pitching to Christian Cinema. This movie was, I mentioned it. I was like, what does Kevin Sorbo and Sean Hannity have in common other than their great hair? and I had actually forgotten that this was the movie that I had, because that was a year ago.
Yeah, I feel like when I first heard about this movie, it's been a minute since it was announced that Sean Hannity and Kevin Sorbo working on a Christian film.
So two things have come to fruition.
We're ready. Yeah. What are they?
Well, my pitch to Christian Cinema has now become
a
gig,
an ongoing gig,
because that was like a year ago, and this movie has come out.
Wow, was it a year ago that you were?
I
pitching
feel
to
like
them?
it was.
Boy,
because it wasn't exactly a year ago, but it was like
everybody.
Remember,
like listening to this is like what?
No, I told them. I think that's why they fired me.
Oh,
but it was it's still a freelance job, but it's kind of nice because it's less work than it was at Made In, but it's kind of like
it's way more fun,
and it's a lot more fun.
You seem a lot happier, Kevin.
I'm having a blast with it.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that I spend a lot of time with these movies anyway. It's fun to talk about, like, oh, here's the latest movie, and to get to, like, obviously there's certain moments where I have to, like, talk about a movie and remain neutral and it seem positive. This episode that comes out tomorrow, I have to talk about the box office numbers of Let There Be Light. And I typically, if I'm talking about that with typically if I'm talking about that, it's in a review, and I'm like annoyed by it, and I can't do that really with this news show. I just have to talk about how this movie is making a ton of money.
So it's making a lot of money. I haven't been following.
Yeah, I mean, it opened. That's what
it's got, that Sean Hannity bump, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pushing it like crazy. Apparently. I wouldn't know because I don't watch Fox News. It's part of the lame stream media. Am I right?
Sure.
So, Sean Hannity.
Questions at innertubeshow.com. Is there?
You're welcome, everybody.
So we went and saw this movie.
Yeah, because another aspect of this film that I think is really interesting is I did a review, as I mentioned, of the trailer. Just watching through the trailer and doing a reaction stuff. It's not my best episode. It's not my best.
That's your
work.
best.
But I put it together real quick because people were like, check out this movie. You should check it out. So I put that together, and it got the normal views. But the last 2 weeks since the movie came out.
Yeah.
Oh, was I talking about how well the movie did? The movie's made.
Oh, right.
It made, I think it cost them like $2 million to make,
Mm-hmm.
and it's made about $5 million at this point.
It's double, bro.
Yeah. So,
Double their money.
It's not God's Not Dead numbers, but it's better than.
It's not God's Not Dead numbers.
Well, I mean that was huge. It's not Kendrick brother numbers.
That is crazy that they made. How much? What was the movie? War Room was the one that like just went nuts, right? And made like $70 million.
Yeah, because it cost like $3 million and it made $73 million.
Like that's, if any, like that's so much money.
Yeah, it's too much. No person should have that much money. So this movie's doing pretty well, but for the last 2 weeks since the movie came out, I've been getting a lot of like really mean comments on that video of my reaction to the trailer.
Are you?
Like people saying the F word at me.
Let there be light?
Let there be effing light.
Wow, that's really rude.
People telling me they hope that the Lord heals my wound.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice of them.
Should I read you some of these comments?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we get into it?
I'll call the episode Kevin Reads Mean Comments.
Yeah. This is another instance where we're copying the Weekly Planet. These are some, I guess, really hardcore Christians who just really want to spread the light and the love of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Stupid YouTuber. Not too bad. Not too bad. You are a loony male Nancy Pelosi.
What?
Tell us how bad.
That's a Sean Hannity fan.
Telling us how bad capitalism and freedom is. Which.
What?
Would I ever have done that?
Do they even know?
Do they even know you? They don't even know. I would enjoy more to watch someone commenting on how stupid you look and sound.
I would enjoy that too, actually. You're
an effing idiot. They don't say effing.
This is somewhat therapeutic for me a little bit, Kevin.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't admit that.
Is this guy for real? He should be in rehab.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
I know this guy's problem. God made him butt ugly.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. Really singing my heart song here.
It was a great movie and message.
Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad comment. It's bad. Well, you'll know why it's bad. Keep it up. F off, pal. All one sentence. You bore me, dude.
Yeah.
That one hit hard. That hurt me. That
Did
cut me
anybody
deep.
make a mean comment about your hair or anything like that? Because I know those are the ones that cut the deepest.
I mean, the one where he said that God made me butt ugly.
Yeah.
That hurt. That hurt.
God doesn't make anything
No,
butt ugly.
if they commented about my hair, I would have shaved off all my hair. You'd know.
That's
already.
true.
You are a stupid F.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are really crude.
And then this one's not so crude. It's actually really nice. I'm headed to church, Kevin. I'll pray for you today. God bless and heal your wound. God loves you.
Dang. That's passive aggressive though.
I know. It's like just making this assumption that I have a wound.
She's like the person's like I'm heading to church, Kevin. I hope to see you there.
Yeah.
Though I wouldn't expect
I wouldn't plan on it. I guess
such
I
a
won't.
butt ugly creature of God.
Yeah.
In a church setting.
There was another one that I think they might have deleted it. I'd posted it to my Twitter, and it was like this movie is great. It shows that God is real and that atheists are pieces of trash.
Wow.
Which I didn't really see that so much. I mean
the movie is about an atheist who becomes a nice guy.
Right? But he wasn't a nice guy, I guess. Is the case.
Once he stopped being an atheist, then he was a nice guy. Spoiler alert.
All right. Well, let's get into spoilers then.
Oh, sorry.
We're 10 minutes in.
Spoiler alert. We're going to give away Let There Be Light now.
All right. So tell me, Josh, what was this movie? Tell me the story. So I'm stealing from the Weekly Planet again.
Okay, I'm just going to share the synopsis. So basically, if you've seen God's Not Dead, it was essentially that movie, down to an accident with a car injuring Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
dramatically altering the direction of his life.
Yeah.
Like in God's Not Dead when it ends his life. Mm-hmm. Or in this movie.
Well, or begins it.
Oh, right. His new life with Christ.
Yeah.
So he's like a really obnoxious atheist whose name is Saul. Yes, can't make this stuff up. And he what was his last name?
Harkins.
Don't be confused. Do not be deceived. It's not
Dawkins.
It's Harkins. So he's divorced from his wife. He's got these two kids.
Of course.
And
Divorced, of course.
All of his family in the movie is played by his real life family.
Yeah.
And
that was a mistake.
So
he's got 2 sons.
Yeah.
His wife's not that bad of an actress.
No, she was
looks
all right.
like a mom.
Yeah, she was all right. I felt bad for the kids.
They were not good.
It's tough to
and their lines were for a much older person.
They didn't have much to work with.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Like I said in my review of the trailer, because he's a user, Mom. He uses you. He uses me. Like all of it, their kids' lines were like that, as if they were grown up saying it.
It didn't make sense.
Like a kid doesn't know that term. Like he's a user, Mom. I learned that in my psychology class. You know,
like he uses drugs. No, he uses you.
He uses you.
So the movie is. You think it's going to be an arc about how this guy becomes a Christian and because he's an atheist, he writes these atheist books about atheism.
Yeah, so like the first 30 minutes is establishing that he really hates God.
He's like the atheist. He's like the Richard Dawkins.
The quintessential.
Universe.
He's divorced. He's an alcoholic. He wants to rock and roll. He likes Wayne's World.
Yeah. For some reason.
And he's having a debate, which is really the worst debate I've ever seen. Like that. What kind of debate do you watch where like the guy, one person is just standing up there and then he keeps walking away. The Richard Dawkins character keeps walking away from the mic to like as if it's his show to speak to the audience, and the audience.
Oh yeah,
you could tell they're all Christian-looking people.
Yeah,
but they're supposed to all be on his side.
Yeah, they're all like smiling and nodding,
they're like cheering every time he says, "And God is dead."
Yeah,
and they're
really
like,
weird.
"Yeah!" But like they're like
what?
They're like
what?
Clapping the way you would clap at like a church.
Yeah.
They just, I don't know what it is. I guess it's their outfits.
It could be, but also Christians just have a look.
Yeah.
They really do.
Like they were church people.
Yeah.
It felt like it. And it was also funny that then also everybody's talking about it as if this big debate was this huge event. Like, hey, saw the results of your debate last night.
Yeah.
Like even the doctor was like, I couldn't believe your debate last night. They were like, this was a pretty small theater, and there weren't any cameras,
right,
that I could see that I can remember.
I couldn't see him either.
I don't know. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to comment on those particular dumb things.
So Saul Harkins is a man who has it all: wealth, status, success. And then he drinks too much. He gets in a car wreck. And his son is also dead. His son had cancer and he died. And
that's why he is an atheist.
Right, that's why he's an atheist, just like in God's Not Dead.
No, it was his mom who died of cancer in God's Not Dead.
Look, you call it a tomato, and I call it his son had cancer. So he dies. He goes into this tunnel tube thing where he sees all of his memories, and then his son is there, and his son says, "Let there be light, Daddy. Let there be light." And then he wakes up. It's not his time yet. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, I don't know what happened, but I saw my son. And then he becomes a Christian. And you think that's the movie, but it's not. It's only the first half of the movie. The second half of the movie is devoted.
And it's about 5 minutes between the time of him having the car accident and then him struggling with that and what he saw. Because all the reporters are like, do you now believe in God? Did you see the afterlife?
Yeah.
And then he is a Christian.
Do you think you're ever going to get to interview Kevin Sorbo?
I hope so.
That would be incredible.
I really do.
The Hercules.
I don't know how much time I would spend on this and how much time I would spend talking about Alongside Night.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in that movie.
Yeah.
That was another
Never
movie.
forget. Freedom's not dead.
No.
So
that's only the first half of the movie, believe it or not. He becomes a Christian.
Like you think you're going to see his journey.
Right, but then it's just over as quick as it starts. And then, so the second half of the movie is devoted pretty much entirely to this, what I guess is a real campaign, a real thing that they're going to maybe try and do.
I think if it's big enough, they'll do it.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe they want to hedge their bets.
Yeah.
They're doing like this Let There Be Light campaign where I guess on Christmas everybody's gonna shine their iPhone flashlight at the sky. What? This is not a joke.
It's a genius plan because his person is
and this is all a plan to defeat ISIS. That's the thing about it,
right? Because they're
ISIS.
cutting people's heads off in the name of ISIS. So we're gonna cut people's. Well, we're not. He clarifies that we're not gonna cut people's heads off, but still, they're doing it.
So
they're doing it.
So then, so it's his wife's idea that she's very excited. They're all happy.
It's a genius plan. Because she's like,
they're going to develop an app that's going to synchronize so everyone knows, okay, now it's this time zone. Now you guys light up, and we're going to take pictures from space.
Like a selfie of God.
Is that what she said? Yeah. I was laughing so hard. I felt bad. This movie's been out for a few weeks, but there was a lot of people in the theater. I felt bad.
Because it was old people, and they don't know any better. They're just like, I'm just glad that a movie's being made for the Lord again, like the 10 Commandments when I was 20.
When I was 45. So, anyways, so then twist happens, Kevin. Twist happens.
Yeah, big twist. Because at this point, I'm thinking, like, what else? What?
Right,
is it done?
I knew that the movie couldn't be over at any given point because Sean Hannity hadn't shown up yet.
And you knew he was in it, at least.
Right. So then, out of nowhere, out of the blue, the mother drops and has a seizure, just like the son who ended up having cancer did.
Yeah.
So then it turns out she has stage 4 cancer.
It was weird because before that, they're divorced, right?
Right.
And he asked her, I know that you're trying to give a synopsis and I'm jumping into details, but he asked her to marry him again.
Oh yeah,
and they're gonna get so the kids, they ask permit, or they ask for the blessing of the kids, and the kids are like, so are you moving back in, Dad? And he's like, well, after the wedding. But like, they were already married.
You said something funny on the way home.
Like God hates divorce, but he still takes it very seriously. You do not disrupt the sanctity of divorce.
Not until you're remarried.
Not
again.
until you're remarried.
Okay. In my book, this is a clear-cut divorce.
Do not defile the sanctity of divorce.
Whatever. I guess you could maybe have that argument or something. I don't want anybody to get upset. But it was funny to be in the movie. Like, it was a funny thing. It was almost like they were like, maybe we should address whether he's going to move back in. Well, maybe we should just say it's after the wedding, just so we don't get people mad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
There was a few things like the
yeah. Speaking of that,
what are you thinking of?
Are you gonna talk about the darling guy?
Oh yeah, there's a few things that I think that they like changed. His publicist or whatever is clearly kind of like supposed to be a gay type character. Because he keeps on saying, "Oh, darling, oh, darling." He calls everybody darling.
He's like the.
He's got this fake.
He's
British accent.
He's like the. What would you call that trope or whatever from the 90s?
Like in Independence Day,
the gay best
I gotta
friend or
call
whatever.
my mother.
Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah.
Did you see what I did with my hand there? That was pretty gay, right?
I guess.
Good. 90s gay.
Yeah.
Where you had to be really out there about it and to let everybody know. Now I don't have to let anybody know.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a different conversation. No, but so Saul Harkins has a gorgeous model girlfriend. He has it all. And there's, right before he gets into the car wreck, there's this part where his publicist is on the phone with him and it's like, that girl you had was really cute. Does she have a sister or something? And it feels like they added that in there just to like maybe test audiences. We're like, I don't like the gay guy in this movie. So they like added that to make it clear that he wasn't gay.
Yeah.
The ISIS thing was weird.
Yeah. They kept coming back to ISIS for some reason.
Well, and the movie starts off with 9/11. Like
a montage,
footage,
yeah.
A montage. But it starts off with the Twin Towers and the plane crashing. And then it's like, then it goes into a montage of all these like terrorist attacks and stuff. Just a lot of like equating conservatism with religion, I guess.
It's the Sean Hannity way.
Right. It's also... so this movie went in such... the direction of this movie, which was very like... not... It never kept you on the edge of your seat because things just happened and then that was it. You weren't like, what's going to happen next?
Right.
Other than it was like, what else is going to happen next? I don't understand. Yeah. But like the trajectory of this movie was like, I thought at some point you were going to have ISIS literally convert to Christianity. Like, I thought that's where they were going to go with this. And in a way, they kind of do, because they're like, across North Korea and the Middle East, they're also lighting up the sky with their apps. How is this happening?
Yeah, I think because the Kevin Sorbo character was like working on a book or had some idea in one of his books that like, Christian God is no different than the ISIS God, or whatnot, and so I guess this movie was about explaining like, no, they're very different.
They're different, okay,
we swear
it's not the same thing. I know they're both Abrahamic religions. It ends
with them lighting up the sky.
Yeah, but it also ends with a huge, like, the whole thing is a commercial for Sean Hannity.
Oh yeah. So at the wedding, at the second wedding, his PR woman, whatever her position was,
who stays with them, despite the gay guy leaving.
Yeah, he leaves. He's like, I could never sell a book now that you've renounced atheism. You can never sell another book.
He was like, I was just in it for the money.
Yeah,
but now there's no way I could make money off of you. What are you talking about? Like, the whole movie is Dear Slim Part 3. Like, what if this really, really famous, not Christian person became a Christian? That would change everything. Like, they would win so many hearts and souls for the Lord, but also they would make so little money.
They would be so brave of them.
It would be so brave. So they're at the wedding.
Imagine if Richard Dawkins became a Christian. Imagine how much money he would make.
He would make so much money because he could write a new book and all the Christians would buy it. They'd buy out theaters for the book.
So it would be a, what do they call those? A Fandango event where it's like a 7:30, one night only. Richard Dawkins.
And he could
Christianity.
Speak at any church
would
pay him to come.
So they're at the wedding, and the PR lady, right as they're doing the kiss, she gets a phone call, and they're all like, "That's rude." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll put it on silent." And she's like, "Wait a minute, I can't put this on silent.
I have to take
this call." She picks up the phone. Who is it? Sean Hannity.
Of course.
So then she's like, Sean Hannity, he has a reach of 13 million people with television and radio. This is going to be a huge audience for our message. And what I just said was only slightly exaggerated from how she put it in the movie.
I feel like you toned it down a little bit. Like, it was definitely like, Sean Hannity, he has a reach of this, like it was a pitch to like their ad agency, like, oh, do you want to advertise with Sean Hannity?
Yeah.
You can do a across the board advertising campaign with Sean Hannity. He has a reach of over 30,000 people. Not only with TV.
There's like an emergency food supply company that watching the movie like, whoa, how many people does he have?
How many people?
We need to get on that.
Not only with TV and radio, but also Sean Hannity has a reach on the internet. He has so many impressions.
Facebook likes, Twitter followers.
Yeah.
I told Kevin on the way home, I said, it would be like, Kevin, if you had produced a film that was about some guys making a movie, and they're like, how are we going to get this movie out there? And then at the end of the movie, Kevin shows up, and they're like, Kevin has a combined reach of like 25,000 people. He's going to review our movie on his YouTube
for
channel.
Us. Him reviewing our movie? That would be great. But it was my movie. Oh, my goodness. So then they go and meet with Sean Hannity about the app, and he's like, do you guys have an international news organization who's pushing this? And they're like, no.
No, Sean, we don't.
We don't know what to do. And he's like, I know what to do.
So he plans a 3-hour
Special.
Christmas Eve special where they're going to show satellite footage of all the flashlights in the air.
All the
Just so they could defeat ISIS.
I couldn't believe how many people I heard telling me this was a good movie. Like, I shouldn't be so surprised because God's Not Dead. I heard that too, and I was like, oh, this is a bad movie. This is stupid. But I thought people were smarter now because of my review, probably. This movie sucked. And there were so many cringy moments. Like, just awkwardly
it was
cringy.
very uncomfortable.
And he's like, wait a minute, you guys are going to blatantly proselytize? And
that's an actual
they're like,
line in the movie.
yeah. And they're like, yes, ISIS does it.
Wait, is that what he said?
Yeah, he's like, ISIS is doing it all the time. And they're cutting people's heads off. Now, we're not going to do that.
Man, I was
We're
laughing.
going to spread love.
I think I had checked out.
And Sean Hannity
That's
is like,
right at
are
the end.
you too prepared for the...
there was
For the firestorm that's gonna come
because
down on you?
he said something like, well, ISIS is doing it, so we're gonna spread with love instead of hate. And it goes to a shot of Sean Hannity for literally like 1 second. He goes, powerful point, and then he turns back over to the wife to let her talk. Powerful point.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a powerful point.
Like, okay, Sean, now look that way, and then say powerful point, and then turn your
Turn
head.
your head because we're going to cut to something else. We're not sure what it's going to be yet.
Powerful point.
Kevin
man.
Sorbo's going to film that with his family in his house later.
Oh.
The pastor.
Oh yeah, the pastor was like this Italian stereotype character.
Yeah, he was actually a wise guy.
who like talked about. He was a wise guy.
Yeah, he used to be.
He was in prison.
Yeah, he used to be in the Italian mob, and then he went to prison.
He was the kind of guy who would tell you about how Jesus got whacked.
Yeah,
and then Kevin Sorbo goes, "I've never heard it said like that."
Why I never? Oh my gosh!
Well, that's what they did, right? They whacked. They whacked him. But let me ask you this: where's the body? Where's
That's
the
what I
body,
don't get.
Kevin? Why did none of the disciples give him up?
They went to their graves.
And then Kevin Sorbo's like,
Oh my gosh!
it was like his liturgist beach moment.
Yeah. That's an inside joke. Unless you listen to the liturgist.
Unless you listen to the liturgist, then you thought that was real funny.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
you get it. Where's the body? Where's the firmament? Huh? I don't see pieces of firmament laying around anywhere. All right.
Wow. All right. Deep cut for anybody who listens to the liturgist.
Where's the firmament? Huh?
Where's the firmament? Huh? Who whacked the firmament?
Who whacked the firmament?
Who whacked the firmament?
We should get T-shirts that say "Who whacked the firmament?"
Oh yeah. What was the shirt they wanted to make?
ISIS equals
ISIS equals church. Was it?
Or
the
something
atheists
like
wanted
that.
to make a shirt that said ISIS equals church.
and they were like, "That's genius."
Oh man,
There were so many moments of
really
the movie
bad
calling itself genius
Mm-hmm.
that were dumb ideas. Like the whole main premise of like, we're going to shine our lights up in the sky. And at the end, they actually are like, text your friends, let there be light.
It was really.
And
it was very much like God's Not Dead. But it was not. I enjoyed God's Not Dead much more than this movie because God's Not Dead, even though it had like different storylines going on, it was one story from beginning to end. And just in that regard, it made it a better movie. I'm sorry, Kevin. I don't want to force you to say something good about God's Not Dead here, but
You know what this was?
what?
Some people may not get this reference, but this was the
Too late for not getting the reference.
This is the Lord of the Dance to River Dance. Like God's Not Dead
The
is
Lord of the Dance.
No, not that Lord of the Dance. There was like a
not
so
the
there was
Stephen Curtis
River
Chapman
Dance.
Lord of the Dance. Yes, River Dance, of course.
Remember that, the Irish dance thing?
Look, you would go into the nature science stores, and they always had it playing on the screen.
Yeah. And
We've
it
all
was like
seen
a PBS
Riverdance.
special.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who was originally in Riverdance went on to do this show called Lord of the Dance.
Oh, okay. And this is Kevin Sorbo.
That's what he did. That. Do you remember that pose?
No.
Okay. Well, it's with his arms up. It's kind of like a dab, but with your head up.
Okay.
Anyway, Barkley, hey, he's been licking his feet lately. I need to
Uh-oh.
get him to stop that. It was like a gaudier, more showy, more like flamboyant river dance. Like it was almost like a Las Vegas Riverdance type thing. Like they took Riverdance and they took all the charm and home, like down to earth type stuff, and they made it gaudy and big and like, oh, it's bigger and better. It feels like this movie got made because they saw God's Not Dead and they were like, oh, we're allowed to do that?
Right.
And so they were like, let's do it and do it right.
Yeah.
We're going to do it real this time. And then they made this movie because all the elements are there of God's Not Dead, but all like the worst elements.
Yeah.
The only thing that's not there is like yelling at an atheist saying, why do you hate God? But like the implications there. Like that's my least favorite part of God's Not Dead.
Yeah.
That and then like there was no like the two big things that I hate about God's Not Dead are the
God's Not Dead made the Christians look bad, and this movie made the atheists look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but God's Not Dead tried to make atheists look bad too.
Yeah, I agree.
But like God's Not Dead, I hated the yelling at atheists, and I hated the court cases at the end. And this didn't do either of those.
I see. I gotcha.
But it is a huge straw man, and then it's this like we're sharing this very vague, not very great argument about Christianity to a fake atheist in a movie, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought of that before." As if atheists are people who just haven't thought of that before.
Right.
They're just about rock and drugs and sex.
If only every atheist could meet up with an Italian pastor who would explain to them about how Jesus got whacked. Then
empty tomb. Like
empty tomb. That's the thing that got me.
At least in Case for Christ, like they go through some stuff that is like, oh, that's an interesting argument. I don't know that I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Or
the more of these movies that come out, the more I appreciate Case for Christ.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like how it drew its characters.
Yeah.
It was much better.
But Case for Christ, like I said in my initial like reaction to that, it's not a movie that's intended to show your friends who are atheists that are going to convince them.
Right.
This movie acted like it really thought that it was going to convince atheists. If they just see this, then they'll realize that ISIS is bad. As if like atheists are on the side of ISIS or something.
It's
I mean, I know
weird.
Richard Dawkins is like, look, religion is bad for the world.
Right. I think that in its defense, I think that's probably what the point was like, no, don't lump us in with ISIS.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because we're about
don't just call all religion bad.
Right.
So, yeah.
But that being said, if you're an atheist and you've thought through like these different arguments and you've heard them, but you still have argued against them, this movie is very demeaning. Mm-hmm. It talks down to people as if, well, I guess they just haven't thought about this before.
Yeah.
They have thought about it before. I'm the type of guy who doesn't just, I need facts and answers, you know? I'm not just going to believe. Because it's such like a fantasy of like, man, if only God would make Richard Dawkins die for a little bit and then come back to life, and he would see in this very poorly After Effects animated tunnel his dead son, and then he would believe.
Yeah.
Then nobody will ever believe then.
Yeah.
If that's all you've got, if all you have is, well, if you just died for a little bit, then you would believe.
Yeah.
Then they're not gonna believe ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still processing the whole thing in my head. I was told in the car. It was probably. I feel like it was the worst. Like, in terms of movies, like some of the movies you make me watch, Kevin, for Bargain Bin, they don't look like real movies.
Yeah.
But of the movies I've seen that actually look like real movies, that if I walked past a TV and it was on, I wouldn't like bat an eye. Like, what is this? If it just looks like a movie, this is probably the worst like movie I've ever seen in my whole life.
Wow. Interesting.
It really was. I think.
I've just seen so many bad ones that it's hard to just say that. But it's definitely the most like arrogant movie that I've seen, thinking that it's very out of touch.
Yeah.
And it's very on the nose, heavy-handed.
I think that they just think, hey, there's a market for this kind of movie. And so they're not thinking about like, maybe they're not even thinking like, boy, we're going to really help people figure this stuff out. It's really just like, there's a market for this, and there are people that want to hear this message, so let's make a movie, and we'll make that cash.
Right.
Make that cheddar.
I mean, that's the Fox News business model. Like, let's just tell them what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no offense to anybody who loves Fox News out there and everything, but that is the model, you know? Like, that's why they work, and that's why they're the number one news organization, is because the other news organizations have kind of a crisis because they don't really have that niche of like MSNBC tries to be the liberal side, but they don't really want that necessarily, or they're too nitpicky, where like Fox News, it's like, yeah, this is for us. This is combating all the others.
It's got like an identity to it. Yeah. No, that's true. That's a good point.
And this movie does that, but like it's really sad that people don't see through it, to me. Like that they don't see the kind of like pandering.
Yeah.
And also like the realization that, hey, this movie will not be viewed by anybody. Nobody's going to join your side through this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet I feel like that's what people are going to look at it and say, wow, if only ISIS could watch this movie, then they would believe.
They would know.
But they refuse to. They've been told.
Weird.
It's Jonah, you know? It's Jonah sitting up there waiting for Nineveh to get destroyed.
Yep.
Because like we told them, we made Let There Be Light, and they didn't listen.
Just for me personally too, I don't like movies where people die in them. I don't unless there's like a really good reason for it.
Right. And this definitely didn't have a good reason for it.
Especially the mom. Like, it didn't make sense that she
It was just a sob thing.
Yeah, it was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it was unexpected when she, like, fell over and had a seizure, and that was, like, the one time you and I looked at each other like, whoa.
What?
Okay, what was that?
Because she's... that was really dumb. Because they're like, we're going to get married. And she's like, well, I think we should...
Yeah, it was like, oh, my gosh, what in the world?
What, Mom? I think we should...
Like, interesting choice. Oh wait, now she's on the ground. I don't like.
It just really came out of nowhere.
I don't like.
But nothing. There was no reason to expect it because nothing was like an arc. Nothing was like, all right, now he's learned his lesson and he's moving. He's had this weird thing. Because what? All right, I was thinking of the movie. Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, Nicolas Cage is a family man.
And
I'm gonna find out what life would be like.
Well, now, oh my life. Oh, there's an angel, and he's black. Oh, weird. What if I hadn't gone on that plane ride to find the Constitution of the United States? What would life be like? Like that movie, at first, he's trying to figure out what the heck has happened to him and if it's real. And then eventually he actually like learns a lesson in it. There's no lesson that these movies teach. It's just you should have been a freaking Christian all along. You should have followed this ideology.
Wasted time.
Yeah. You shouldn't waste your time following that club. You should follow this club. That's the better club to follow.
Yeah.
It really is like a sports movie if you were like, all this time you were cheering for that team when you should have been cheering for this team. Yep. And then you're like, oh, good. Finally, he started cheering for the other team now.
Good. Now we can teach him the cheers.
Like, that's not a victory. The audience isn't like, oh, finally, now he cheers for the Detroit Lions instead of cheering for the Rams because... That was the wrong... Is the Rams a
That's still a team,
Okay, good.
They moved, though.
That was the wrong team to cheer for all this time.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it feels. He's just jumping from one ideology to another.
Right.
Instead of like, oh, his life is really changed. Like, and I know, oh, he was drinking and cussing and all that stuff before.
He did say the H word at one point.
Oh, my gosh. And he said, oh, my God.
Well, that was when he was converting.
Truly crying out to his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. They also baptized him without a dunk. It was
like
poor.
inch deep water.
I wonder if that was a struggle because Sean Hannity, I don't know who Steve Hannity is. Sean Hannity's Catholic. I wonder if they like compromise and like, okay, let's do the...
Do Catholics not do baptism?
They do baptism, but it's a trickle. It's a sprinkle.
Oh,
So-
that was the compromise.
Yeah. Like, well, we'll have him in the river, and we'll pour up more water, not just
Sean
sprinkle.
Hayes like, look, powerful point. I'll meet you in the middle.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's the movie. Don't go see it. Don't give this movie any more money. It's not good. Don't listen to anybody who says it is. If you don't believe me, I'll do a review when it comes out.
I'm excited about that review.
I will destroy this movie.
I also saw Thor yesterday, Kevin.
Was that as good? Another movie about God?
Yeah, it was another movie about a god.
A God.
It was fine. It was a good time. It's not one, as with most of those movies, I enjoyed it while I watched it. I probably would never watch it again.
Well, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you do read John 1 as in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was a God.
The word was Thor? Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretty
Why
interesting.
is it
Huh?
not Loki?
Shout out to all our Jehovah Witnesses out there who
The
changed the
JW?
Bible so that Jesus isn't God, but is rather God's son.
Oh.
But the Muslims don't like that. They think it's blasphemous to say that Allah has a son.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's one
I can't keep up
further
with all
step.
this.
And then the Jews,
What do they say?
they don't like that we say that Jesus is the Messiah. So
Everybody's
it's
got a
just,
problem.
why can't we all just get along?
Oh, boy. All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks for...
And then the Scientologists think that we're all alien
there's some sort of
spirits
alien
or
life forms.
something. I don't remember.
Wow, we've been talking for 40. Anytime we record a podcast right after we see a movie, it's always interesting.
It's not. They're never any good.
Are they not?
No, they're pretty good. Pretty good episodes. This is probably our best episode yet. I gotta go do a thing.
Oh, right, yeah,
you
I
gotta
gotta
go do a thing.
Yeah. Kevin and I both have appointments on
Monday.
first Monday of every month now. So,
And if you aren't pledging to my Patreon, you don't know what it is.
and
I
if
do a
you're
live stream.
if you're not going to Disney World and I'm not your travel agent, then you don't care what I'm doing either.
Yeah.
On Monday nights, first Monday of every month.
Interesting. All right. Well.
All right, cool. Fun times. Well, if you have questions for the show, questions@innertubeshow.com is our email address. We would love to hear from you. So check that out. Check out our website, innertubeshow.com is where you go for all that. We appreciate you all listening to the show, and we'll talk at you next week, so take care, everybody. Bye!